So I chose my favorite glam metal albums, the ones that influenced me the most, and the ones that I like the most, starting with... Hello, thanks for clicking on this video. It's been a while since I've recorded a video, and today I'm going to be talking about glam metal. The reason why I'm talking about glam metal is because in January of 1987 is when it all happened for me. So, a good number of years ago, 36 years ago, it all started for me. Insane to believe it's been that long. But anyways, back in 1986, when I was listening to these albums and everything, I thought they were really cool, fun, high energy, and great. Very flashy too, but, you know, that was a part of like glam metal. What is glam metal? It's basically heavy metal, a melodic form of heavy metal with guys wearing makeup and wearing spandex and all this other stuff. Hairspray and all that. Why do they call it glam metal? Glam metal sounds better than glam rock. I mean, in many ways it was metal because there was a lot of cool guitar riffs, there was a lot of cool guitar solos, there was cool drum parts and screams and everything. There was all those elements that you find within heavy metal, but it was just done more melodically, more commercially and everything. A lot of people put down glam metal and everything, but I'm going to be honest, and of course a lot of my other friends and even people I see online in YouTube comments, a lot of people who liked thrash metal also liked glam metal. You kind of start up, not that you start out with glam metal, but you start listening to other bands like Kiss, Van Halen, AC/DC, and glam metal before you actually discover thrash metal. I don't think anybody, maybe very few people out there got into thrash and heavy metal first, probably. Who knows? You didn't do it back then. Most people didn't. But anyways, Poison's album, Look What the Cat Dragged In, had like a lot of cool guitar riffs. There was a lot of cool guitar sounds. The video for Talk Dirty to Me is a simplistic video where they're on some kind of stage or platform or wherever the heck that is. And they're just performing and they're having fun. And that's what just kind of glam represents, you know, just kind of fun and everything. There was no... The glam metal didn't get too serious, and that was the whole point of it. They did the sex, partying, and rock and roll theme stuff, but they didn't get too political. They weren't putting down politicians. They weren't talking about the environment and all that other stuff. So, I mean, it's basically just having fun, and that's what it was about. So I think the album, Look What the Cat Dragged In, the song Look What the Cat Dragged In, Talk Dirty to Me, Cry Tough, those are all really cool songs, and a lot of people like them. I love that album. So Poison's color was green, and Cinderella's theme color was purple. Now Night Songs is another awesome heavy one. Well, rocking one, I should say, not too heavy. There's a lot of cool guitar riffs in there, like In From the Outside, Once Around the Ride, and Push Push. I mean, there's just some really cool guitar stuff in there. Even some like blues-oriented stuff, because that's what Tom Kiefer was influenced by, a lot of like blues stuff. But the videos were, once again, flashy, and it was just a really cool album. Of course, unfortunately, Cinderella went on a wicked downward spiral from like Long Cold Winter onwards. I mean, Heartbreak Station is Still Climbing, which should have been called Still Falling. It goes to show you, though, not because of, it wasn't because of the whole grunge and alternative horseshit that happened. It was because they just started changing and they started just doing different stuff, and it wasn't as exciting or great. So that's what happened to Cinderella. Anyways, the first album, Night Songs, that came out in 1986, it's an incredible album. I love it. I love the songs off it. Before Poison and Cinderella, Motley Crue were doing it, and then so was Kiss off the Asylum album. They were very glammy on there. And then Twisted Sister. So the glam thing was out and being done before Poison and Cinderella. But anyways, the next album I'm going to talk about is Twisted Sister's Come Out and Play, which is a really cool one. Twisted Sister had that, I don't want to say rough look, they had that kind of like rough glam look. It was just odd. I don't know what the heck. Some people thought it was kind of rough. The songs were kind of like, I'm trying to find the right words because I don't want to say tough, but they had that image. It was glammy, but then they had this kind of like biker look. And of course, if you look at the very first album of them, they did have that kind of like biker look. They were like kind of like bikers gone glam, I guess, for some really weird reason. Similar to like what Motley Crue did. But anyways, the songs off of Come Out and Play are really awesome. And even like Stay Hungry. I mean, Stay Hungry, all their albums are good up until like probably like Love Is for Suckers. Yeah, their first 4 or 5 albums were really cool. There was some like cool rocking songs on there. Once again, the musicianship of the band was good, but it wasn't like incredible. I thought J.J. French was a good guitarist, but he didn't, he didn't blaze any trails, I guess. Vinnie Vincent's Invasion. Now, this one was interesting because the friend of mine that I hung around with in a trailer park during '86 when we were listening to metal and stuff like that, his father's girlfriend worked at a radio station. She would just bring these records, and she would just bring like these single records. It was a full 33 LP, a full-size record, but there was like one song on it. It was just promotional use, and there was just a mess load of them that she would bring. And one of them was the Vinnie Vincent Invasion album. So anyways, we were listening to that. We saw the video for that, and it was just, if you like the video for Boys Are Gonna Rock, if you like glam metal, you're going to like the video for Boys Are Gonna Rock. That was very glam and everything. It was, glam to the extreme. And of course, Vinnie Vincent just fit perfectly within that because of the makeup he wore and the way he played and stuff like that. A good guitarist, but a very stupid, dumb, messed up person who ruined things for himself musically. But anyways, I digress on that. The music to that was really cool. I liked it. The only thing that confuses me, though, to this day, and I'm not any sound engineer, any expert or anything, but within that album, it says that no pedals or effects are used anywhere on this album. So I'm trying to think, well, how the heck is that? How the heck did he get that sound if he was not using any pedals or any effects? I can't see, regardless of what kind of amp it is, you crank it up, it gets that sound. There must have been some kind of, I mean, when you're listening to it, it sounds like phaser, flanger, and distortion and everything else put into the mix. I mean, it just has this like insane sound, where it sounds like an invasion. That's where they got the name Vinnie Vincent Invasion from. The album was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very high energy and over the top. They kind of did what Nitro did before Nitro, the Vinnie Vincent Invasion did. Motley Crue's Theater of Pain. The reason why I chose this album, because Motley Crue was always changing, and their first couple of albums, they had that kind of like stud and leather look and everything, where it was, to this album, they just completely glammed out. I'm not sure how and why they did that or what made them do that, but it fits it. It fits the song. The songs fit well with it. It was still heavy, but it was still glam-like. But it goes to show you that most of all these other bands really weren't specifically serious about that, because even though they got success from that, they kind of like really de-glammed it by the next album. And then so did a lot of these other bands. Most of them all just wind up, de-glamming or not being a glam band, whatever the heck you want to call it anymore. Up next is Dokken. Dokken's back for the attack. I'm going to talk about Dokken albums in general. Now, Dokken was a really cool band. They were glammy, but yet they were heavy and they had an edge to them thanks to George Lynch's really cool, good guitar playing, and while Mick Brown was a really good drummer. Mick Brown. And they were good musicians. And for those of the people who like the high voice, a lot of people like Dokken as a singer. That's what was cool about a lot of these bands. You hear the singer, you know exactly, automatically who it is. But Dokken was one of those bands that also just got less popular throughout the years, once the years progressed and everything. And of course they wound up breaking up, and then they got back together and did all that stuff. But back in the day, Dokken wrote some really good songs, and they had several albums that were really good, Breaking the Chains, Under Lock and Key, and then Back for the Attack. And of course Tooth and Nail, and then Back for the Attack. So they had several of those. Under Lock and Key, Tooth and Nail, Under Lock and Key, and Back for the Attack. You know what I mean. They had 4 solid albums there where they were doing good, and they were relatively popular, and they were a heavy rocking band. There was a lot of cool guitar stuff in there. Europe's The Final Countdown. Now, Europe, of course, being a band from Sweden, of course, Scandinavia. Why didn't they call the band Scandinavia? Anyways, they were a good band. They had some cool songs. The earlier stuff was a little bit heavier. This one was like more glam oriented and stuff like that. And this is where they had the big hits, like Carrie and The Final Countdown and stuff. I liked the song Cherokee. I liked that one. I didn't mind The Final Countdown, but a lot of people always pick on and joke about with the keyboards and all that other stuff. But Key McCarroll, whatever the guy's name is, was a really good guitarist. John Norman played for them during their first couple of albums. But they were rocking too. I don't know. I guess a lot of the people just put them down as the keyboards and stuff like that. And of course it was glammy and stuff like that. And a lot of the girls liked them. But Europe was an okay band. I didn't mind them or hate them. But I didn't hear this album fully until 1988. Some girl had it recorded it for me on a black cassette tape, and then I heard like songs like On the Loose and Danger on the Track, and I was like, oh hey, this is kind of a cool rockin' album. They were good musicians too and everything, but not really one of my favorite glam metal bands or anything really either. I did like the next couple of ones that they did. Anyways, Europe was okay. I was never huge on Europe, but they're on the list. The album we're going to be talking about is the Rat album. Now, Rat, Dancing Undercover, I'm just going to stick with that one. Rat was another one of those bands where there was good musicianship. The drummer was good, Bobby Blotzer, and Warren DeMartini was a great guitarist. And Stephen Pearcy, I mean, if you like Stephen Pearcy's voice, you liked Rat. That was the cool, unique, interesting thing about glam metal bands, or any kind of like metal band during the 80s. I've said it 100 times, I'll say it again. Each singer sounded different, so that gave that band that identity and that sound. So Dancing Undercover was a really awesome album. Even of course the first song off the album was called Dance. Was a really cool song, some cool guitar work in there. Body Talk, 7th Avenue, all the songs off of that album, Dancing Undercover, are just... So with songs like Drive Me Crazy and Slip of the Lip, there was just that sound, and just the song structure and the song wise what made these songs really good. There's no specific riffs off of the album that are incredible, like Lack of Communication and You're in Love. But there was something about this album where all the songs were just good. As an album you have to get used to. Some people don't like the album. Some people thought the album was lame. I thought it was good. I really liked the songs. I liked the videos that they did for the songs off of this album. It was a cool rocking album. Alright, so Rat's Dancing Undercover was an incredible album. I thought it was great song-wise. Structure-wise, I thought every single song off of the album was rocking, and it just had this like really cool sound to it. Stephen Pearcy's voice sounds great. It's one of those albums where the guitar solos are just better than just the actual riffs. There's not any specifically blazing riffs off this album like You're in Love or Lack of Communication. It was lacking in the riff department, I guess, but song-wise and structure-wise, I think Dancing Undercover is an awesome album. I think that Rat put out a good album. It's one of their best. I like it. I think it's one of their best. And that's the whole thing about glam metal. Once again, there's this cool rocking stuff that a lot of people like. And a lot of people that listen to thrash metal and other heavy metal do like it. It was just one of those genres and kinds of like music or kinds of metal that you didn't, awesome stuff that came out. And of course, what's surprising nowadays, well, it's surprising, but it's not surprising because a lot of like younger people, whether in the comments and or videos, where people have, well, hey, let me check that stuff out, and have come to like it. So a lot of people are discovering glam metal within the last, 10 years or whatever. And that's cool. It's a good thing about YouTube, once again. People will discover other older bands and other older albums and stuff like that. That's the cool thing about it. Some other younger kid out there is like discovering this band, and then what you you know there's related videos that are on the side. Once you click on any one of these, you're going to see one of the other ones right there on the side panel of the suggested videos and or related videos thing. Glam metal's cool, and it wasn't the heaviest, it wasn't the fastest, but there was a lot of cool, neat guitar riffs and stuff like that, and guitar solos and great songs. That's why I loved glam metal, and that's why a lot of other newer people like glam metal. And thanks for watching.